Alright guys, I just made a piece of Franken-Batting. So we're going to trim this up to size, and then we're going to get going on another crumb quilt adventure. Thanks friends and sewing friends and family and whoever else, sewing family, whoever else wants to play along today. We are going to do another episode of a grayscale crumb quilt block. Much like this one. So I did this one. I just did this one. I'm so excited to do another one. So I want to do it along with you today. So welcome to Creating Hanley. I'm the Hanley at Creating Hanley, and I'm sorry about the white lights down there. So yeah, so I just finished doing this crumb block, and you can see I quilted this one just along the edges there. If I can get my finger right, just along the edges there. I just crumb quilted, or just quilted along all these little crumbs. And that's all I did, the zigzag stitch along all those little teeny tiny crumbs. Now this is more of like nice blocks. And that's not normally my style. My style is crumb is crazy. So, but I just finished this and I love it, and I just wanted to show you how I do a Franken-Batting. So you can see I stitched along here and I stitched along here. I put some more fusible together. And did I do this backwards? I think I did this backwards. Of course I did. Why would I do it right? So I'm going to take that off. And then I'm going to fix my mistake, guys, in real time right now. So, what did I do? I put the fusible on the wrong side. Of course I did. Why would I do it right? Okay. Let's make sure this is 6.5 inches. Yeah, we're good there. Okay, so watch me do this again. So, here we go. So I'm taking these two pieces, I'm just fitting them together. I've cleaned up the edges. You want to make sure that the edges are straight enough to be, and you're just butting them up together. That's all we're doing. And then we're doing a zigzag stitch straight across, which is why it's called Franken-Batting, because it's reminiscent of Frankenstein, where he was stitched together from several parts to make one part, right? To make one whole. That's what we're doing here. I'm just running the middle, right down the middle of my presser foot. Super high, zigzag stitch to catch both sides, and then voila, there we have it. So now I want to square this up for 6.5 inches. It can be a little bit bigger if you want, because we're going to trim it at the end anyway. So if you just wanted to give yourself a little leeway, that is perfectly fine. And I know I'm doing this off camera. It's just easier for my measurements if I do it off camera. On camera, this is not a stable surface that I'm working on, and you can see if I press down on it, it wobbles. So I'd rather not do that if you don't mind. I'm just gonna, maybe I can try to show you the scraps over here, but anyway, whatever. You don't need to see me roller cut. You guys know how to use a rotary cutter, right? I'm pretty sure you do. If you're sewing, you know how to use a rotary cutter. So anyway, here's my Franken-Batting, 6.5 inch. Make sure the fusible side is on the top, where you're going to put your fabric, because that's where the glue is. It's the rough side. The smooth side is the back. You don't need the glue on the back. You need the glue on the front, where you're going to put your fabric. So I have these scraps left over from this piece that we just did. But one thing is different. I am taking out the nylon. I'm not going to use, or the vinyl. I'm not going to use the vinyl, and I'm not going to use the chainmail, and I'm not going to use the this shiny piece. So I'm not going to use this piece. I'm not going to use this vinyl or this vinyl that melted under my iron, okay? And I'm not going to use this chainmail piece. And I do still have the minky in here. I will use the minky because that's a cotton base, so we'll use that anyway. But it's very stretchy, so you have to be careful. And I'm also going to add in this fleece, which is very stretchy, so you have to be careful when you're sewing. So flannel is kind of stretchy too, but not as much as fleece. You can see fleece and minky are pretty flexible. So start with the rough side, and then so sewing with fleece and flannel takes a little bit, well, flannel not as much, but fleece is thick and fluffy and it stretches easy. So you have to be careful when you're sewing with fleece because it can go wonky really fast. But guess what? We're making a wonky block anyway from our crumbs, so it probably won't matter so much in this type of an application. Alright, so let's just turn the camera down. You don't need to see my crazy hair. Alright, let's go. Okay, so here we are with the options that we have. And this piece is already sewn together, so I think I want to start with that. And this piece is already sewn together, so I think I want to start with those two. And I could do something like this. I don't want to do that. So you can make your block however you want, but if I do this, obviously the corners do not match up, but that's a little too close for me because that's kind of how I sew anyway. So I think I want to do something like this. Maybe. Do I want to do something like this? I think I want to do something like this. And then if I make that straight, that's going to be super narrow right there. So maybe I don't want to do that. Or maybe I throw the minky on top of here, and then, how would I do that? That's not going to work either. So if I cut this, all right, so I'm going to take the, I guess I'll show you anyway. If this is the first episode you're ever watching, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make this a diagonal, and I'm going to use this corner as the pivot point. Actually, this is a nice butterfly that I don't really want to miss. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to just trim that off, just like that. And now this creates a new crumb that I can use somewhere else, okay? So, but I kind of wanted to show the butterfly. Now, you don't always have to. I could have cut that off, and it could have been like this, and you could still see that butterfly wing and still know it's a butterfly, but that's kind of the way I roll sometimes. So, we're going to do that. All right, so let's take this off, and let's see what else we can stick together, folks. Okay, so we have this to work with. We have this to work with. Oh, we have these pieces to work with. What else? Now remember, I want to put this down on a foundation. So, or I don't have to put it on a foundation. But with the fleece, I kind of do. So the fleece, I'm going to cut this with my scissors and just kind of cut it like so. Now this becomes a crumb piece that I can use somewhere else. And then I can use this. I'm going to cut this along this red right there. And now this piece becomes something I can use too. These are two different gray scales, two different colors. So I'm going to cut this red off. And again, crumb can go somewhere else. And then this is becoming very narrow, so I'm just going to cut that. There we go. And then this brown piece, I most likely want to get lost in the seam allowance. So I don't necessarily have to cut that, but I think I will a little bit closer. Okay, like so. And then I'm going to cut this too. Yeah. Now these pieces are prepared. So let's see if this will work here. Maybe that'll work here. I think I kind of like that. So I want to start putting these down on this foundation. All right, so if I do, minky like this way, and then this just go diagonal like that. I think I like that, guys. I like that a lot. So this is going to be our first piece right here. Uh-oh. You know what? I already had, I forgot to put it on straight line. Make sure if you do your zigzag for your Franken-Batting that you remember to switch it back to a straight line if you want to, and it's going to be on the back. So there we go. There's that. Now remember, don't iron anything down, because if you're using a fusible fleece, you're going to start to stick everything, and then this part that's exposed is going to stick to your iron. So you don't want to do that, okay? Now I have this long piece that is a little bit wonky edge right here. You can see nothing is going to line up with that. So I'm going to put this long straight edge right over here like so. In fact, you know what I'm going to do? Haha, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to put this little piece right underneath here. I should have probably done that first. No, screw it. So this is super scrappy wonky, right? So here's what I'm going to do. This piece is long enough, so I'm going to put right sides together. Make sure that is as flat as it can be. Do not iron. And then I'm just going to take it from this edge all the way across. So you can see how this edge hangs off just a little bit, and then this edge hangs off just a little bit. That's perfect. You want that. Now, sew it down. Whatever seam allowance you want to use. All the way to the end until it rides off. And then there we go. That is sewed down. Now you see how you did not need to cut that underneath? You did not need to trim up the minky. You just do that, right? Now, if this part is in the way, you can. So remember, this part is glue. So you want to expose as much glue to the top layer as possible. If you leave all these extra pieces hanging on underneath, that is what's going to get glued down, not the fabric right on top, if that makes sense, okay? And now in the future, near future here, I can cut off that and cut off that. But right now I'm going to leave it as is. Just finger press that down. And now we're going to have this little bit over in this corner to work with. And then I have all this piece over here and all this piece here. So this might be perfect. No, it's still, I need just a little bit more. So maybe I can use this strip. This is a cool salvage edge. In fact, I'm going to use this ribbed salvage edge part just to show on this scrap piece right here, because I think it adds interest and intrigue, and it's perfect. So I'm just going to sew that on with like 1/8 of an inch seam allowance. You can use more. I probably wouldn't use any less. And then when you flip that over, that covers, again, it covers both sides. You can see how it hangs over the foundation. And I'll just finger press that down. And then you can add the fleece here if you like, right like that. Now, one thing I have to think about is this is at the edge. So this fleece is just going to kind of be hanging off on its own. And that might be okay. Or you might want to sew it down somehow. So let's see, I already had that, but I am going to use it because I really like it. And so I'm going to line that up right here. Now again, you don't have to use this full piece. If you just want to make it a little bit more narrow, and then make sure that that covers the edge here. And so this is all that's going to show. Okay, so if you're good with that, now you're not using the same piece as I am, but you know, in your creation, in your sewing adventure, that's what you would want to think of. Now I might have to turn this around and go this way so that I can incorporate that. That might be cutting it really short. Now again, so keep in mind, I did cut mine just a slight bit bigger, the block edge there. So, but that might be pretty cool. Or should I do it this way? So you could also try to do it this way, or you could try to do it this way, which actually might work better. Well, no. I'm just going to do it this way, guys. So, right edges together. Right edges together, and then make sure that goes on the top. Okay, here we go. So I'm not going to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance because I want to use as much of that as possible, much of the fleece. So I'm just going to use an 1/8 inch or an 1/8 inch seam allowance, and I'm going to go a little bit slower in my using my presser foot. So if you have a walking foot, you could use it. I don't want to take the time to switch out to a walking foot right now. I'm just going to do this. So you can see when you flip it over, all that is caught in there, and then the edge of the foundation is right here, and I have plenty. In fact, I think I'm going to make that, I think I will make it a 1/4 inch seam allowance, 1/4 inch seam allowance. There we go. Okay, now I know that is caught and the fleece won't stretch, and even if it does, it's okay. So I know that that is in there. So you can tell there is enough coverage there. Okay, so that's going to be pretty cool on that side. Now I need to fill this part and this part. This is going to be a little bit weird right here. I might have to do a, I might have to do like an appliqué. Let's do an appliqué, guys. All right, let's do that. Let's do an appliqué right here. So what that means is it's just a raw edge on the top. All right, let's not do that just yet. Changed my mind. We'll do a raw edge applique over here, but I'm just going to change my mind a little bit on this. I'm going to put this piece down. Now again, it's so not scrappy. Okay, let's do maybe this piece. Okay, we'll throw that in there like so. Now it covers the top, so here's the top, and then it covers here, right at the edge. So I'm just lining it up here, and I'm lining it up right on here, and I'm going to cut right down this line. I'm not cut, so I'm going to sew right down that line. To keep everything in place, to lock everything down onto this foundation piece. Now again, this flannel and fleece can stretch a little bit, so when I pull this back, that covers that whole thing. Now do I want all of that covered? Probably not, but I am running out of pieces, so maybe I will leave that like that. Okay, just finger press that, and then this piece can go on here. Now we're getting into super scrappy here. So let's do this. I'm sorry, not scrappy. I keep saying scrappy, crummy, because I'm using some of these are scrappy, big scrappy pieces. I keep saying scrappy. I meant crumb. You guys know I'm talking about crumbs, right? So we want to put the right sides together. Right sides together. Crumbs. These are crumbs. So put these pieces together. And then those two little teeny tiny crumbs, they form this block right here. And then now we have a bigger piece to work with. And then maybe I can throw this on. So let's do it on this side. Right here. That's pretty narrow. Half of this little piece is going to get lost in the seam allowance. Even if I do use 1/8 of an inch, when you have two seam allowances on both sides of that fabric, half of that is going to get lost. So there we go there. That's super tiny right there, yeah? Kind of press that open. Not everybody presses. Not all crumb quilters press these little blocks, but I like to work with a flat surface. So sometimes when they get all bunched up, it bothers me. So it's up, just, you know, really up to you. And now I'm going to put this piece up here. And this is kind of a bunched up piece. So I'm just iron that out a little bit. And then take it over here, sew it down. And now your crumb block is growing exponentially. Look at that. Now it's opened up there. So we're good to work with that. And then we still have this fleece piece to work with too. So, I don't really want to put like legs and legs together. And then of course this, I'm using a lot of flannel. So I have a lot of leftover flannel. I didn't really plan that. I didn't not necessarily like that, but it just happened that way. So, oh well. Yeah. So I think I was going to put this fleece piece out here, right? And then maybe I put this piece here and cut that. So there's a little something between the way of these flannels. All right. So now that is down and everything is caught in there. Okay. Finger press that over. Remember, do not iron yet because you will get glue everywhere on your ironed surface that you do not want. So then this can come in here, perhaps like that. That can hang off the edge. This could, let's switch this around maybe. So if we do, all right, let's do this. Let's throw, okay, let's put this together. Now, I want you to see something. See how that is wonky up here? And then look on the back. See how that is wonky? Now, if you wanted to, you can trim both edges so that they are flat and you just sew along that surface. However, you can use your sewing line to make everything flat. So if I square this edge up and I square this edge up, I can put these together and then sew it like this. But if you just use your eyeballs and just kind of eyeball it, you know, just visualize it, then that may save a little bit of time. And then just do a straight stitch down. Just straight line it. Straight line. There you go. Like so. And then when you open it up, see how much that is? A seam allowance on that side too. And then when you open it up, that bottom part is pretty straight. Pretty straight. This is a little bit wonky, but if you cut a straight line, then you know it's definitely straight. And then you can sew this onto here. Now when you fold it back, make sure you have enough over here. So you might have to, you know, play with it a little bit first to see what is on and what isn't. So now I know over here I need a little bit more of something. So maybe I can put a, see, all I have really is flannel left. I could put this piece in here and that might work. Or I could put this piece on the edge. Maybe put this piece on the edge. Trim. So again, right sides together. And then when I open up this, see how teeny tiny this is? That may not even matter that it's flannel now. And it's like from the same piece as this. So if I kind of measure it out like this, will that get lost? I hope it will. Okay, you might need to stretch that out a little bit. All right, so now you can iron this part if you want because there's no glue on it. Because all these little seams on the back tend to stick up and get all wonky. You know, for me, it's a little bit easier if I just iron down these seams so that it's easier for me to work with. But you do whatever you want to do, whatever floats your boat. So there, see how that's a little bit easier for me to work with? These seams are all ironed down. And then I can just place this on here. Now remember, do not iron this. That's a big no-no. So if I kind of visualize this here, I know this is going to be off, and that's going to be off, so I can square that up, and I think that'll hit over here. So I'm just going to do, in fact, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to square it up for sure, so there's no guessing, and I won't be surprised. So there we go. This is all, see how I squared that up? Nice and straight edge right there. And now I know that is going to overhang. So that is going to cover everything. So I'm good there. So I'm going to place this right here. And I'm going to sew that in line. And it might be a little wonky, actually, which is fine by me. Okay, so make sure that these seams, you catch all those little seams. You put that in place enough. Like you put them in place enough where they line up and everything lies flat. Because when you flip it over, that is a lot of seams that you have to flip over. Now when you fold it like this to see where your edge is going to be, that becomes a super small piece. Okay? Which is fine. That's the scrappy part of it. That's what makes it crummy. Or the crummy part of it. That's what makes it crummy. Or crummy adventure. Okay. Now, if I place this on here, I really want to use more of the gray. So, place this on here. And you want to catch these raw edges. Now, if it's really bothersome, you can stick a pin right in here, go through all of the fabric, and then place, hold that in place. Now, I'm going to raw edge applique this. Now, there's a little piece here that's not being caught, so what I could do is sew on something on the edge here. Maybe I'll just do this piece. Actually like this. Sew this just to make sure I have enough. Okay, trim, and then there we go, like that. Okay, now I'm going to raw edge applique, and I'm going to show you how I do that. Just take it into the machine. Actually, guys, I'm going to switch out the fabric, or the thread, because I don't want to use this color top thread. I want to use a gray top thread. So this top thread is what I want to use for this. So I'm going to put this in the machine real quick. Sorry about that on camera, but that's what you want to do when you're doing your block. So you take it through, have your thread color picked out, and have your bobbin all ready to go. Now, so here's a little trick. What I do, sometimes if that's not working, I just cut this at a diagonal, and then that makes it a little bit sharper, and then you just kind of like slide off the edge so all those fibers stay lined up. And I do have an automatic threader here, but it's not functioning properly. So you just take that through, and then what I do is I want to change out the bobbin too. So I already have my bobbin ready to go, and it's super quick. And then what I do, the first thing is, where's my leader? Here's my leader. You take your leader, your little practice fabric, and then I just make sure it works. And it works. It's all good in there now. And then, so what you want to do is start, so I'm going to start right here. And again, you want to catch all these raw edges and all these raw edges in your top stitch applique. So I take it over to the, and now you can use a walking foot if you want, but you don't have to. Again, this fleece is super thick, so you might have to go a little bit slow. And I'm going to choose a zigzag stitch, and then I change the length to whatever length you want, and then the width to whatever width you want. So I'm going to make a 6mm width right here, which is kind of big for this little thing. And then my length is, I'm doing a point, I'll do a 0.7. So that's really close together, millimeter. So see how that's really close together? It's really going to capture everything. And then when you get to the corner, you stop, go a little bit slower, and then change your direction. And then make sure the center of your presser foot is walking down the the edge of this raw edge. So even if it's like one thread off, just continue your, and again, I just need to do like one more. Oops, got ahead of myself. Okay. And then if that's not the case, sometimes I just move this over just a teeny tiny bit, and then I go. And this is how you raw edge applique something easy like this. And then this will be already, so this will be twofer. It's a twofer, so it'll be stitched down and it'll already be quilted. Alright, now if you want a back stitch, you can, or you can do your lock stitch, whatever you have programmed in there. Okay, so that's how that works. That's that raw edge applique. And you can see on the back, it's already, and then it covered the 6.5 inch mark. So you can take that out. Perfect. So there you go, guys. That is our new block. And you can start top stitching it if you want. You can do your quilt right here. Your quilting right here. You can change the width, you can change the length of the zigzag if you want, or you can use it all the same because it's here. It's already, it'll be uniform in your quilt. And over those seams on the back, because there's a lot of seams that match together, your machine might have to go a little bit slower, might have to lug through some of that, okay? So this is how I do it, and then you're good to go, okay? So that's all I'm going to do with you right now because you don't need to see the whole thing, but then when you're ready, you just lay this on the back, okay? So not on the front. You flip it over on the back and you see where your foundation is and you line up your ruler, and sometimes it stretches and sometimes it comes in a little bit. But if you gave yourself a little extra room, it might be exactly perfect or it might be overhanging, which is fine. And then you just cut straight along the sides and then you have your finished product. Guys, again, thank you for playing along with me today on this Crumb Quilt adventure, on this new one right here. I will get this top quilted, and then I'll see you in the next one. All right. Thanks for all your likes, shares, and subscribes. I appreciate you guys so much, and we'll be back with more soon. Stay tuned. Bye.